this computer. Hi, my name is Sarah McArthur, and I'm here talking to Sara Attleson. And we are going to talk about the Democratic Party of New Mexico. And she's going to run for chair in this next cycle, 2025 to 2027. And so I've invited her to come on to the Blue Roswell Woke Donkeys show so she can spend some time letting everybody know who she is and what she stands for and what her vision is and that kind of thing. So welcome, Sarah.
Well, thank you. I'm delighted to be here, Sarah. And I really appreciate what you're doing. This is a great opportunity for the state Dems to meet all the candidates that are running. So I do want to stress, I do appreciate this forum, and I appreciate the work you're doing for this.
Thank you.
L-
Thank you.
Thank you. A little bit about myself. Just a brief background. I grew up in a military family. Yes, I am an Air Force brat, and my father was an Air Force veteran. And I think this really developed who I am as a person. I was born at Fitzsimmons Army Hospital, so I've been in the military, so to speak. And I think it created who I am, my values, and my character. I've learned to be resilient. I've learned to adapt easily. I've learned to appreciate and honor diversity since I lived in all kinds of foreign situations. And really, the end, I really appreciate service. You know, help helping your country, helping your community. So I
Mhm.
do believe deeply in service. So that's a little bit about, and I um, moved to New Mexico to go to college, New Mexico State University in Las Cruces. I stayed in New Mexico for ever since college. I've been a school librarian. I just retired a year and a half ago after 47 years of being a school librarian. I loved every minute of it. Um, and I joined my union the very first day I had that opportunity. I been an active member of the American Federation of Teachers and the Albuquerque Teachers Federation.
Mhm.
And I think this has also helped make who I am. I've been a union organizer the whole time, not just a member, but I've been an organizer
Mhm.
and out there fighting for working class families, all the issues that uh, face us workers. So, and I just, like I said, recently retired, and so I became a member of the AFT New Mexico Retirees, where our motto is we're retired but not tired. And I'm here to tell you there are some people in that union that work nonstop. They can outdo a lot of people. So that's what I'm currently that's my life in a nutshell.
Mhm.
And did you want me to talk about
So
oh
I was going to ask how you got involved, more so with the your history with the Democratic Party and what got you interested in actual politics,
sure.
so that that informs your decision for today for what you're doing now.
Sure, sure. And that's a great question.
Thank
Um,
you.
I know it sounds silly, but I was born a Democrat. It's like, how can that be? Well, my family is extremely Democratic. Both of my parents were strong, strong Democrats.
Mhm.
And the conversation at the dinner table, always somewhere in it, there was something about politics in it. And it was a part of our life. My father had been a history and civics teacher before he went into the Air Force.
Okay.
And he was in the Air Force, then the war was over and he became a teacher, and for 4 years taught history and civics. And he taught us about civics at the
Right.
dinner table. So it was
Right.
really a part of our life. And um, in fact, he was from Minnesota and was a proud member of the Farm and Labor Party of Minnesota, and it is still called the Farm and Labor Democratic Party of Minnesota. And he
Wow.
was the person that took me to the courthouse the day I was eligible to vote and helped me sign up. And I've been a proud registered Democrat ever since.
Hmm.
And became kind of active, not kind of, I became active in the party when I was a student down in Las Cruces
Okay.
and started volunteering when I had time. And I like to tell people, I've knocked on doors all the way up, starting in Las Cruces, all the way up the I-25 corridor. I worked for several years in Sierra County as a school librarian. And so I was
Okay.
active there when I had
That
time.
is that T or C? That's Sierra
Yes,
County. Okay,
yes,
T or
so,
C.
yes,
Okay. Uh-huh.
yes. Yeah, it is Tier C. I worked at the elementary and mid school when I
Okay.
lived there. So, helped, had a principal who was very active in the Democratic Party, and he would kind of recruit some of us to
Uh-huh.
make tamales for fundraisers and things. And so I really literally have knocked doors all the way up I-25. Came to Albuquerque, joined my union the day I could, and became not only a member, but really an activist, an organizer, and
Okay.
became the chair of the Committee on Political Education. So my life is
Wow. Okay.
for 17 years. I just recently told our local union president 17 years is enough time. I'm proud
Sure.
of my work. It's time to pass
Pass the
the.
torch. Yeah. Okay.
So
That,
that's
I just
that's
wanted
who
to
I am.
say, just I apologize for interrupting. My parents required us to talk about current events at the dinner table. And we made a mistake years ago when we started telling people we don't talk about politics. And I feel like that's a huge mistake. And then taking civics out of the classroom. And I remember my fifth grade teacher teaching us. I'm friends on Facebook with him now, and he's
Sure.
retired in Florida. But I remember him telling us all of these things that happen, and just building up the United States history, and informing us about how to make an outline and how to actually state your points and make your arguments and all that. And it was a really fascinating time. But my parents, they were not necessarily Democrats, they were Republicans. And my mother, I came home from my first vote, which was the second election of Jimmy Carter. And she said, "Did you vote for Carter? Because if you did, I'm going to throw you out." And I was like, "Well, no, I voted for Reagan, of course." And I went into the kitchen, and my dad said, "I know you voted for Carter." I said, "Well, are you going to throw me out?" But anyway, sorry to
No,
interrupt.
no, it's
Yeah.
yeah, and that I think we have when we said we can't talk about politics. I think that changed a lot of things
Mhm.
because I really stress as the committee chair of the political committee on political education. I know the members of the Albuquerque Teachers Federation. They know I'm going to remind them on our monthly meetings that all things are political, that our air, our health care, it's all political. And yet we're told, oh, you can't talk about politics. Well, if you talk about Social Security cuts, you're being political. And all things are political. And I really, truly believe that. And
Well, they
so,
they certainly are now, and we are. I mean, I'm like panicking for Monday. I'm very concerned, and I think we don't really know what to expect, but I don't think it's going to be good. Having read through a lot of that Project 2025 that he distanced himself from during the election, but was clearly a joke because he
right,
obviously is
right.
not and not. So
You know,
let's go. I'm going to move you on to the next question. Did you get to go to the DNC in August in Chicago?
I did. I had the
Okay.
privilege, the honor of a
Uh-huh.
lifetime. Yes.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I'm getting goosebumps right now.
So tell
Yes,
us some of the highlights or some of the things that
sh-
maybe you took away from that we should know about.
sure. Sure. It's hard to, when I was looking over the questions the other day, I thought, oh, I can't pinpoint one or two highlights. Um,
Mhm.
but I have to say the energy for the 4 days of that convention, it was
Okay.
electrifying. It was so exciting. And Chicago was really ready for us, and they were great. It was like,
Yeah.
whoa, what a great host. But I think, and I even had friends who were watching at home text me and say, "Is it as exciting and electrifying?" And I said, "Yes, it really is."
Mhm.
So that, and of course the speakers, and I was really heart, really it touched my heart. Really, I know that sounds trite. To have so many, to have labor at the table. Labor was really stressed at that convention, and the speakers were from labor, many of them, and the caucuses I went to centered
Mhm.
around labor. And Tim Walls was a fellow union member. He was a member of AFT for 20 some years, so he was always talking about that. So having that labor spotlight was great. But my main takeaway was, for 4 days, Dems from all over the country and territories were there. We were from all backgrounds, all ages, all colors, all demographics. I mean, we're the big umbrella. We are the umbrella, and we were unified. We were together and
Yeah.
ready to take on
Mhm.
the other side. And that was a huge, important takeaway, that we were all unified.
I thought some of those speakers were really phenomenal, and
Oh,
I mean, I could feel the energy, and I thought for sure people are watching this and she's going to win. And I just didn't understand that. It was just really problematic that so many young people voted against their own interests, and that I just don't understand it. And you voted for a convicted felon, so I'm like befuddled.
I know. I interrupt because I get so passionate about this. Kamala told the young people, "I will help you make a down payment on your house." She
Mhm.
told us exactly what she was going to do over and over again, and people would say, "She doesn't tell us anything." And it's like,
Well,
are
the
you
news didn't
not
help.
listening?
The news did not promote her. They didn't treat them as the same candidates, and they kept saying, "Well, if she would only tell us what she's going to do, we just don't know." And instead, you have the rambling. I mean, he had no. Yeah, we could
Yeah.
just say a lot of negative
Wait,
stuff about him, but that
yeah,
would take up an hour. So I'm
I
just saying,
totally get it. I'm
right.
with you on that.
It was just disappointing that so many people. And the moment that I knew was I was a, poll watcher in the biggest office in the administrative center at the county clerk's office, and I got there at 1 for my shift from 1 to 7, and there were like 30 people waiting for the computer to roll over as first-time registrants so that they could then go vote. And I kept looking at them, and nobody would look at me. And I had two blue streaks in my hair. So of course, declaring. And so but they were like that the whole day. There was just a line of people, and the county clerk's office, and they worked really well, and they do, and I get along with them very, very well down here. But they kept telling people there's other sites that are not so busy and you wouldn't have to wait as long. But I kept looking at all those people and I kept thinking they are not voting for the Democrat. They are voting. So I believe it's my suspicion, I don't know this to be true, but that one of the churches got a huge number of people and all their friends to come down and register as first time voters, 30 and 40-year-olds, never voted. And they voted for Trump. And that was kind of unsad. We still did really well in this red county in terms of
She
the numbers
did.
we produced, but I was just really disappointed to figure it out at like 2 o'clock. I was like, yeah, they're not voting for Kamala, and nobody's excited about this. They're just like, and they weren't wearing any red hats because you're not allowed to wear them in the polls, but
Right.
you just knew. So anyway, but I digress. Let's go to. I'm glad that you got to go, by the way. That sounded, I mean, I kind of wanted to go, but it just, I don't do crowds very well. So,
Yeah,
okay.
it was crowded.
Okay. You are running to become the chair of the Democratic Party of New Mexico. And we've had a host of people come before you that have been wonderful and very talented and all of that. And I thank you for stepping up and declaring yourself. Can you tell us what motivated what has motivated you to take on this role?
Was asked to run by different Dems in the state that I respect and have worked with, and thought, oh, that's an interesting thing. I thought, well, I just retired. Do I want to do this? And then, it was in the back of my mind. And of course, the general election, I was out every weekend knocking on doors for
Mhm.
Joy Garrett, Natalie Figueroa, all of these wonderful candidates in Bernalillo County. And I did some canvassing for Congressman Gabe Vasquez. I did that. But
Good.
so I was out every weekend, and if I didn't finish a turf, I was out that evening. Um, but the final the final thing was the day of the election that we just talked about. It
Right.
was because I had it back there. Should I not,
Mhm.
And I remember telling Joey Garrett when I went to pick up my last Representative Garrett, my last walk list. I I think I had kind of talked myself into it, but I wanted to talk to her because I've known her forever. She was a fellow union member, and
Mhm.
I've knocked on doors for her. I said, after the election, can I call you and talk to you about something? And she said, absolutely. And I thought, I'm going to get her perspective. Well, the day after the election, I woke up like so many Dems. I'm not going to lie, I was just
You
devastated.
wanted to just roll over and stay in
I
bed.
stayed in bed. I'm not going to lie, full disclosure, and cried and thought, oh no, it's over. What are we going to do? And then I thought, you're a Democrat. Democrats fight. You're a union organizer. You've never given up the
Right.
fight. So I called Joy, and she was all for it. And so I announced, yeah, I'm going to run this. I need the party needs someone who has the experience I bring. And so that was the catalyst, the election that finally said, you're going to run. And
Well,
that's
that's a good
that's what brought
reason.
me to the decision. I
Yeah.
just can't. The next 4 years are going to be interesting. We'll know more Monday. But I mean, I get a pit in my stomach when I even think about it. But we're going to win. We do not give up, and
Okay.
that's
Yeah. So, as a follow-up to that question, because there are many people that talk about wanting to, well, the party should do this, the party should, host these events and do that, and reach out into the community to provide XYZ. I'm just curious, do you know what the mandate for the party is?
think it is to make sure we remain blue and elect Dems up and down the ballot. I
Okay.
think that is the mandate. And
Okay.
to that's what I see, that we remain blue. And we're
Hmm.
getting away from that. So we've got to we yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so that's an interesting concept too, is but I just, there are a lot of people that will call me and say, "Can you help me with this bill or do that or can you pay for me to have this done?" And I'm like, that's not actually what the Travis County Democratic Party does. I mean, we
No.
are supposed to be, and we're not doing very well at it, but we're supposed to be electing Democrats locally and statewide, and we just don't do that very well at it because it's a 73% county. But in any event, I just wondered if and you obviously do know what the mandate is and stuff. So
Thing to
um
fundraise is also
fundraise and all of that.
and get Dems elected. And I have experience in both. I have worked tirelessly to get Dems elected for decades, and in my capacity as COPE chair,
Mhm.
I had to raise funds, and I raised thousands of dollars for the last school board election in Albuquerque. I mean, I we had huge fundraisers, so
Just
I
let me
have
ask
that
you, how do you
experience.
do that? Do you just call people all day or how
No,
what's
well,
your brand
no,
of
we
fundraising?
actually put on a party, and
Okay.
and have we're organizers, so we start planning.
Okay.
We have one of our fundraisers, Congresswoman Stansberry, came to MC it, and
Uh-huh.
because we helped get her elected, so
Sure. Sure.
and she is very supportive of the union. So she emceed it, and we had there were 3 seats up that for that election,
Mhm.
and each board each candidate spoke and had their people come. It was just a great, we had
Great event.
refreshments, and
Uh-huh.
then we had one at a on the west side where it was packed, and um we raised thousands of dollars.
That's
So because the
awesome.
candidate we wanted to really wanted to win was on the west side, so we brought a lot of her constituents came,
And
people
did
that
they
weren't
win?
political.
Did
Yes.
that person? Okay, great.
I'm very
Congratulations.
proud of that
Yeah.
because it was a seat that we flipped. We had tried the person who held the seat was Susanna Martinez pick, and this woman on the board was anti-union, anti-trans, anti-books, anti you name it. She was anti, and it was just she was a one lone vote, but it was she didn't represent the community, her constituents.
Right.
And
Right.
so I thought maybe I should get an apartment on the west side. I don't live on the west side of Albuquerque, but hey, I'm spending every day and night on the west side. Worked hard, proudly flipped it. And not only the bonus was um, the candidate that won is the first native ever in 90 years of APS ever to serve on the board. She is from
Wow.
Shiprock.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
That's
so
great.
it was a win-win. We threw the other one out and got, for the first time, a native who's doing a fantastic job.
Great. That is wonderful. Thank you. So, what do you understand the responsibilities of being the chair of the Democratic Party of New Mexico are? And do you have or have you already created a group of people that will help support you if you get that position? So,
Yes, I do have a group of people. I have a great campaign going. I have a great campaign manager, great campaign, great people. My former ward chair, she was one of the people that pushed me into running. She will be there. I've my treasurer is a young man I met when I was at the DNC in Chicago. He's a
Mhm.
sophomore in college, and he's a great treasurer and he's got ideas for fundraising that it's just
Oh,
crazy.
well,
And
I'm impressed that he's young. I mean, I think
I
that's
know, I
right.
know
Yeah.
and he went with me to set up my campaign account, and he knew more than I do about all of that. And so he's very smart, very wonderful. And he'll call me and say, "Oh, I have another idea for fundraising." And it's like,
Oh,
you are incredible. And
aw.
so I am looking. I thought, oh, you are going to be on my team for sure, should I win, because you are young, stuff, you're there. And you know, the responsibilities, again, fundraising, and I've had experience with that. It doesn't
Have
scare
have
me.
you had a chance to talk to Jessica and ask
Yes,
Jessica
yes,
how much,
yes.
how her week looks like, her month, and she's been phenomenally great, in my opinion, that she's
Yeah,
done a
yeah,
really swell job.
yes. No,
Yeah.
she
So,
has. And
mhm.
we have had multiple conversations. She is we haven't gotten down to that nitty-gritty
Oh,
because
okay.
she was gone for the holidays, and
Hmm.
now she's back, and she has that really crucial fundraising event next
Oh,
week.
right.
So but she texted me yesterday or the day before saying we still need to get together. I've had a great working relationship with her as chair. When she ran for the House, New Mexico House, I knocked on doors for her. So I've known her. Yes, I have a good relationship. We're
Good.
both passionate Dems. We're both union sisters, and we both are former mid school educators. And I tell people, if you can work in a mid school for all these years, you can do anything. And I think Jessica feels the same way. So I will definitely lean on her expertise. I will take notes. I'll just take them as fast as she can give them to me. So I do have that in place.
Good, good. Yeah, she doesn't strike me as someone that's going to just say, "Okay, I'm done," and walk away.
No,
Yeah,
no,
she's not like that at all. I think she's a
no,
very committed individual. So,
very, very much
well, we
so.
did 4 and 5, like boom. So,
Okay.
yeah, now we're on 6. Um, what do you think DPNM's biggest concern is now? You can
Y-
think about it for a second.
Okay. I think currently it is unifying the party. Um, some of the county chairs that I've spoken with since I committed to running and since I've stepped up,
Mhm.
some feel left out, and we need to figure out what's going on and fix that. New Mexico is, especially the rural counties. New Mexico is a largely rural state, and we need to unify and be one great, strong party. So I think that's something that's a big concern. And I think bringing back our working folks back to their roots.
Okay.
We lost them. We lost them in New Mexico, not only nationally, but so I think, unifying and bringing us back to our roots. And
So, do you have like any kind of thoughts about how to do that? Like any ideas for like, workshops or I'm just spitballing here.
well, it was funny when before I decided to run with my union, we had concerns that union members were not voting for the Dems. And that was, oh, I can't tell you how disappointing that was. It was
Very.
heartbreaking. And as we got closer and I thought, and I was making phone calls union member to union member through the labor votes program. And they were telling me, especially in the building trades, not all, but a lot in the building trades said, "Oh no, I'm voting for Trump." And it was like every time it was like a knife in my heart. And I talked to my union president, Ellen Bernstein, and she said, after this, we have to sit down with our fellow union members throughout the state and begin the dialogue. What is going on? Why are you leaving the party that so and
Well,
so
we need to have those things that the media does. They have those forums where they have people that voted opposite the way we
yeah, oh,
expected
that would
them
be a great
to,
idea.
and ask them, what were you thinking of? What are
Yeah,
you and I think my biggest, the thing that I'm harping on the most when I'm doing I did one interview yesterday, but I harped on it, was the media. And the media not treating things fairly, and definitely when they're owned by people that have an agenda, like Jeff Bezos and the
exactly.
guy that owns Google out, he owns the LA Times, and Bezos owns the Washington Post, and then the richest man in the world owns Twitter, and decided to call it a single letter. And those are problematic things that I think they really hurt the messaging. And then the other part of it is the propaganda, and they have achieved, the Republicans have achieved this level of propaganda so that people don't believe anything, and they don't understand what to believe or what is true and isn't true. And I just shudder to think how devastating that part of it is. But I myself think that it would be good to have people, invite them to come in and say, what led you to voting for Donald Trump, a convicted felon, thrice, I mean, somebody owes, almost $500 million in fines. I mean, this is not somebody, I mean, he's gone bankrupt like 6 times, and he's been in court 4,000 times. This
It's
is not a
embarrassing.
real businessman. Yeah. So anyway, that was
No,
my thing.
no,
Do
that's
we have other
and
issues that are important on DPNM that, I'm sorry to,
well,
I mean,
I do think the messaging absolutely, and
oh, okay.
I think the media is really a challenge. And I recently was listening to a podcast with a congressman from Wisconsin, Popkin, I can't remember,
I can look it
but he's
up.
a U.S. congressman, and
Oh,
he said
Rokana?
he's
Is it
yes,
Rokana? Rokana.
no,
Okay.
no, it's
Oh,
Pocan. It is
okay.
Popcan, Popcon.
Okay. Okay.
But
Well, I'll have
he
to
was
look that up, but I do like Rokana too.
okay. And
Yeah.
he was saying, because he's very he's comes from he's very supportive of labor. And
Okay.
he was asked
Sure.
that on this, what happened? Why did the working class move to the other side? And he said, well, it's really easy why. And he said Trump Trump lied to them
Right.
and they believed him. It's very simple. And I thought, yeah, that's pretty much it. But what do we do now? How do
Well,
we
I'm trying to
fix
do
it?
that with this type of
Sure,
thing, and I'm
sure.
I'm all over. I mean, of course, I don't know what's going to happen with TikTok, but I've been doing when I do my dog walks, I do 10-minute little videos, and then I post stuff on Instagram video wise and stuff, and it's funny how many people actually listen to them because I have people in public saying, "Oh, I saw blah blah blah," and I'm like,
Right,
"That's."
right.
That was right. And then people are recognizing me in public because they're getting used to seeing me. And so, but I do think
Job.
Democrats need to take back the airwaves. And if I had my druthers, I would say we all need to band together and create a whole, like, like a Fox News that can address, uh, not, I mean, to address media in a journalistic standard in a way that isn't destructive or full of propaganda or lies, that will actually present both sides of those stories. Remember, we used to watch the news on black and white TV, and we'd see the
Yep.
guy and he'd come on and he'd be there for 15 minutes telling you exactly what's been going on, and then he went away. And it wasn't this 24/7. That's the other thing that I think is hugely problematic is
Yes.
the barrage of constancy of like just all of these TV news talk shows that just overwhelm people. So, but those are my
Well,
those are my thoughts. We're here
no,
to
and
talk
I
about.
I agree. And we do have to we do have to become active in the media. I was yesterday I spoke to the Lincoln County Dems at their monthly meeting, and they were talking about how, it's a pretty red area, very red, and how the local newspaper is always covering Republicans. The women's Republicans meet and they write a check for this and they give it. And they said, we do good things too. And I said, do you put it in the newspaper? I said, start a monthly, a monthly column. This is this is who we are. This is what we did. They were discussing about sending a check to the California for the wildfires. Put that in
Right.
there. Start publicizing. Start. We don't
That's
brag
brilliant.
about ourselves, and we need to start.
I
But
think
yeah, the
that's a
media
really
is
valid
locked
point.
up.
Yeah. Well, and the same goes, I mean, Lincoln County is so similar to Chavez County in terms of that. We do have some good reporters here that do try to involve me. I've written some
Good.
letters to the editor at times, at various times, but we do need to, and we're about, I mean, I don't know that we're about to lose it entirely, but our newspaper is getting smaller and smaller because
Yes.
people aren't advertising there. And so it's possible that whoever does take it over, if it doesn't close, will not be friendly to
Sure.
journalistic standards, and they'll just be
Sure.
friendly to like the Rio Arriba Sun was purchased by Harvey Yates. He's
Oh,
oil and
really?
gas. Yes, it was. A lot
Huh.
of people don't know that. Anyway,
That's a
all right. We are like, I don't even know what my timeline is, but I'm having a great conversation with you. Thank you so much for sharing. I don't know where we're at, but it doesn't matter. As long as we don't go over an hour, and I don't think we are. So we're at 2:36. So I think we're doing fabulous. We only have 3 questions left.
okay.
Um, Here's a big one. What makes you the right candidate for this position? And
Well,
I'm not
that
saying you have
that
to be
is.
mean about anybody else. I'm just saying
Oh
what.
no, I would
Right.
never.
Right. Good.
I'm not
Thank you.
running against anyone. I'm
Right.
running for the
Good.
chair.
Good.
I'm not running against a single
Thank you for
person.
saying that. That's important.
Yes. Um, well, I literally bring decades of experience
Mhm.
to the party. I have been a union organizer for longer than you've been born, probably, most likely. And
I don't know,
I
I'm
have
pretty
been
old.
I've been doing it for a long time, and
Okay.
that is, I think that's doing the good fight. Um, I I bring my experience as an educator, my patience as an educator, and I, I really worked really hard for 17 years on the committee of political education for the Albuquerque Teachers Federation. I worked tirelessly. I recruited folks. I made sure that they were elected and did whatever we needed to get them into office. And I have recruited folks for 17 years in the capacity. I just recently saw Representative Sarignana, who I think is a great representative for House District 21. And
Okay.
I just saw her last weekend, and she taught next to me at Kennedy Middle School in Albuquerque.
Oh,
She
nice.
taught math, and she came into the library one day during her prep, and she said, and I had had her daughter as a student, her youngest daughter, and she came in and said, "Oh, I need a hobby. I'm suffering from the empty nest syndrome. I don't know
Really?
how." And I said, "Hey, have you ever thought about running for the legislature?" And we had
Oh.
never talked politics ever before. She was a good union member, but that was about the extent of it.
Mhm.
And she said, "No, I haven't." And she said, "That's interesting. Let me think about it."
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
the next day she came in and she said, "Yeah, I'm going to do it." And at the time, House District 31 was being vacated by Senator Mimi Stewart, who was moving up to the
To
Senate.
the Senate,
And
right?
and she had
Okay.
been the representative in House District 21 for quite some time. And
Uh-huh.
so when Debbie Sarignana, who knew nothing about running a campaign, said, "Yeah, I'm in," and got her a great campaign manager. I Kennedy happened to be in House District 21. Debbie worked in House District 21. She was born and raised in House District 21. I said, "You are House
Oh,
District
great.
21."
Yeah,
And
great.
it was convenient for me because after school, I would just go across the street from the parking lot and start knocking on doors for her.
Oh,
It was
good,
great.
good.
She won. And, it's that's what I do. I recruit folks and I work to make sure that they are elected. Um, I
You
think
said
the
some.
party,
Oh, okay.
oh,
Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I real I really think the party now more than ever needs someone with strong leadership and experience. And I really believe I am that someone. I've had
Good.
years of doing this,
Hmm.
not in the party, but working alongside it. So I think I'm that someone.
Good. You made me think of something while you were talking, and you had earlier. We just touched on it just for a second, and that was banning books. And I know that there's a presence of Moms for Liberty up in the northern part of the state, and I don't know how significant. I've not. They haven't really come out in force down here yet. Although we've had somebody that's invited people like Steve Bannon and Mike Liddell and a couple other crazy people that very extreme right wing views. But in terms of Moms for Liberty, have they got a presence up in Albuquerque? I know maybe Rio Rancho probably more so, but
They have two chapters,
oh,
one in Rio Rancho and
mhm.
one in Bernalillo County. In fact, the woman that we flipped her seat, she was a Moms for Liberty. And so, yes, we had a present on the school board. We have a school board member currently that uh, uh, doesn't say she's a Moms for Liberty, but you see her at all of their meetings, So, and she actually, this one that is currently on the seat and says, it's kind of like Trump saying, "Oh, I don't know anything about Project 2025." She knows nothing about Moms for Liberty, but yeah, she's hanging out with them. So first week on the as board member, she called library services and asked, how can parents get into libraries to check them out? And you can't. I mean, unless oh, I will invite anyone into my library. When I was working, and anyone was free to come in, but you can't just barge in on.
I was
And
going to say you can't just walk into schools anymore,
no,
right? I
you
mean,
can't. No,
right.
it's
I didn't
they're
think so.
fortresses. They are
Right.
fortresses. But
Right.
and it's like, no, unless you're invited. And besides, our collections are all online. We are totally transparent. We don't hide anything.
Hmm.
So her next question, she was like, oh, okay. She said, well, how can we check the librarians' book orders before they go out? No, the librarians have been trained on book selection. They
Hmm.
know about reviews, they know about the bestseller books, they know what their school community needs and wants. So no, that's private, that's personal, that's professional information. But so
Yeah.
they kind of backed off, but they are here, and I really do fear we have an election this year, November, for 4 seats are up, and I fear that there will be some Moms for Liberty. There was one who ran last time. He lost. It was and then we unseated the one on the that was a strong Moms for Liberty. But I anticipate they have monthly meetings. They
So that
are
would be something we would need the Democratic Party to really try
absolutely,
and find good
absolutely,
candidates to make sure
absolutely.
that doesn't happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm asking all the time, are there
Okay.
any good, great Dems? Because we now more than ever, because they're here and they're strong.
There was, I read something recently about, I can't remember if it was a state or if it's nationally that they were going to say that, that we don't ban books or, I mean, basically saying you can't ban books if you haven't demonstrated that you've read them or that you or some kind of a hold on it because there was just a small group of people that were able to ban huge swaths of books that you and I read because that was required reading and stuff. So
Right.
anyway,
And
okay, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
no,
I have
it's
question 8, and this is a national level question. What do you see as the biggest obstacle here in our party in New Mexico for us being able to get past the American First MAGA agenda?
Well, I think we've already touched upon this.
Sure.
I think we really have to bring the working class back to
Okay.
the party that supports them and works for them. The Democratic Party is the party of the working class, period. And they have been lied to, and they listen to disinformation daily. And this is a national crisis, and the Democratic Party needs to really figure out, how are we going to bring them back to their party? So I think that nationally is a huge, and when I listen to podcasts and read articles and listen to progressive radio, that's what I'm hearing.
Okay. So last question. Um, if you don't feel like you've already said all these things, which I think you've done a really bang up good job, is there anything that you want people who are going to watch this and our potential voters, in April, SEC members and things of that nature, do you want them to know anything additional about your commitment, your knowledge, or your focus going forward? Is there anything more that you?
Been a strong and passionate Democrat my whole life. I have worked tirelessly getting good Dems elected in the state.
Mhm.
I am a union organizer. I have fought for the working class. I have fought the good fight my whole life. And I think those are all skills that I bring to this seat.
Okay.
I'm experienced. I have experience. I have a resume. And I am ready. I really am ready to unite the party and to bring it back to its roots. I really think I'm the right person for this job.
Wonderful, wonderful. Sarah, I am so glad that we had an opportunity to talk to one another. And sorry to interrupt so often, but thank
No.
you so much for making the time today. And so what'll happen is I'm gonna try and post it on YouTube, and you're welcome to share it and like it and give it to anybody that you want or reuse it. I own, I'm not copywriting anything of that nature,
Okay.
so you're certainly welcome to do that so we can get our message out. And I am thankful that you made the time for me today.
Well, I'm grateful that you provided this venue, and
Okay.
I don't know if I mentioned, but Howard Dean had the 50 state strategy when he was DNC chair. I
Sure.
have the 33 county strategy. I've
Okay.
I, I've been to two so far, so I have 31 left. I will be coming down to your
Great.
county, and
Uh-huh.
I'm really listening to what everyone's concerns and needs are. So I do
Okay.
believe to
Okay.
unite the party, we need the 33 county strategy. So I have two
Sure.
down, 31 more to go.
Well,
I'm
bring
ready.
Dylan when you come.
All
So
right.
we'll take you to some good restaurants. All
Okay. All right.
right.
It was a
I'm
pleasure.
gonna I'm gonna turn off the recording.